Through competition, we inspire one another to breach boundaries we thought were unbreakable. And as a speedrunner, breaching unbreakable boundaries is kinda my thing. So, I created a custom challenge with cash prizes for the fastest and most creative runs. I knew that my community would push this game to its limits, but what you're about to see absolutely blew me away. This is how speedrunners broke my custom Hitman competition. Let's quickly go over the basic rules of the contest. Kill all 5 targets and escape with the game's highest rating, Silent Assassin. There are a lot of complicated rules to follow if you want to achieve this, but the abridged version for Zoomers with attention issues would be: don't kill anyone but the targets, don't be seen trespassing, holding a weapon, or doing anything illegal. This is called being compromised. If you get compromised by your target, make sure you kill them before they spill the beans. And finally, bodies of targets cannot be discovered by others unless they die in an accident. So no sprinting around the map and just shooting them in the head. A time of 5 minutes or less demonstrates remarkable Hitman skills, but the first run is practically flying compared to that. Even more impressively, Propaganda completed his run using the rules of the bird percent speedrun, like the one I showed in this video, and recently in person at Ludwig's Fast 50 event. Make sure to check out my video on that over on the New Clips channel. Beginning at the default entrance, Propaganda immediately takes a beeline, or a bird line, towards Dale the Postman, which unfortunately for him, makes him the first target of this run. Once this jogger passes by, he can hurl the feather duster to knock out Dale's conversation partner, letting him go postal on Dale, scoop up his package, and then head for a house down the street. Dale's body being discovered would be a problem for his Silent Assassin rating, but since this is an American suburb, they're used to simple gun violence. It's also not an issue because the only person that could now stumble upon his body is that jogger, who won't be coming back until long after Prop has flown the coop. With another long migration down this street, he'll enter a backyard containing his second target, Bobby the Garbage Man, who is busy having a conversation with his fellow worker here on the deck. After delivering the package to his face with the gentle care of an airline baggage handler, Propaganda kills Bobby with a headshot, dragging their bodies and tossing them over the edge. After this, he'll then snag a nearby tank of propane, making his way to the third target, Leopoldo Alameda. Propane tanks are a Silent Assassin's best friend, because unlike an electrocution or falling kill, they can be set up almost anywhere, no puddle or ledge required. Since it counts as an accident, the victim of a propane explosion can be found without ruining your Silent Assassin rating. Prop takes flight over the nearby fence and fires a shot to distract his fourth target, Gerald the construction worker. This shot lures Jerry behind the tractor, so Prop can dispose of him with a headshot, hiding him from the jogger who will promptly start pounding pavement around this portion of the perimeter. With a lengthy flight back to the default start, Propaganda has just one target left, Charles III, the president of the local HOA. Heavy on the campaign trail to try and gain favor with the locals for the upcoming elections, he has so far ruled Whittleton Creek with an iron fist, even having maple syrup lollipops banned on Halloween, which as a Canadian is definitely grounds for assassination. As you can see, he's surrounded by people and has a personal guard who follows him around constantly. This means players had to get creative to keep their Silent Assassin rating on this kill. Placing a pistol on the grass, Propaganda then tosses a kiwi behind the shed to distract a nearby park ranger. Charles then notices the gun, and since he seems to be the one US civilian who's uncomfortable with handling firearms, he asks his personal guard if he could kindly relocate the loose weapon. With Chuck stuck all by himself, Propaganda is free to take out his final target with a headshot and utilize the most unrealistic part of this level, which is what appears to be a functional public transit system in an American suburb. Although Propaganda elected to use the default start, Whittleton features a slew of starting and stashing locations. Cartwheel 76 was one of the few to start off at the Gardener entrance, which happens to be right beside Dale Anderson. Unlike some other members of the neighborhood, Dale is actually what he seems on the surface, a friendly postman who prefers chatting with locals over actually doing his job. By using his pistol to shoot the fire hydrant, Cartwheel creates a puddle that can be electrified with a micro taser. While most tasers are visible to NPCs and would get moved away by guards like any other weapon, the micro taser is too small to be noticed by anyone. Although notably, it's still just enough to get the job done and is nothing to be ashamed about. With his first target having been delivered unto death, Cartwheel grabs a stashed seeker, a dart gun that delivers a dose of emetic poison, before taking a lengthy sprint over to Gerald the construction worker. Instead of hiding his body behind the tractor, Cartwheel elects to grab a crowbar, pop open this manhole, and then toss Jerry right into the sewer for another accident kill. With 2 targets down, Cartwheel hops the fence into the backyard, grabs the propane, and throws a proximity taser for his 3rd target. Although Bobby looks like a local garbage man enjoying his union-mandated break, Bobby Ashcroft is actually an undercover guard hired to protect the original targets of Whittleton Creek. He'll hang out in this lounge chair unless you move close enough to trigger the conversation with his fellow goon, after which he'll be left alone in a cycle of vigilant watchfulness. Earlier, Cartwheel used a micro taser so that nobody would move it out of the puddle, but here he tosses a regular proximity taser towards Bobby. Since Bobby's a guard, he'll go to put away the taser and then get zapped when he picks it up, eliminating himself with an accident kill that's almost unique to contracts, as you don't often get a target that's also a guard. Cartwheel then scoops up the tank of propane and hops the fence into the party, making his way into the bathroom and shooting Leo with the seeker. You know, making this video is when I realized how awful it would be to get ambushed on your way to the toilet. You're already feeling like you're gonna throw up and then Cartwheel pulls out a pistol and eliminates you with a headshot? Wow, nice move, Cartwheel. Real classy waiting to ambush someone in the bathroom. Make sure you subscribe and leave a comment if you think Cartwheel went way too far. With only 1 target left, he grabs the propane and takes a long jog towards the bus exit near Charles. With Chuck en route to chat up the locals, Cartwheel tosses the propane along his path and blows it up with a shot from his pistol, allowing him to exit the mission in just 3 minutes and 15 seconds. This next run comes from a user named FE302. After starting at the default spawn, they take out their emetic device from the briefcase and immediately put it back in. It might seem like this should nullify taking it out and we're back at square one, but this actually gives them access to the emetic detonator for later. With a couple of precise distraction shots on some nearby NPCs, Effie runs right up to Charles and injects him with a lethal poison. Similar to those who die in other accident kills, targets who die via a poisoning do not ruin your silent assassin rating if they get found. Dropping the emetic device alone would get you compromised, and since they have the emetic device inside the briefcase, they can simply drop it and detonate it right beside him. So this briefcase strategy is an incredibly safe and optimized way of getting the target sick. While waiting for Leo to head inside, Effie heads over the adjacent fence to reposition a tank of propane. Instead of blowing it up right away, they're going to head over to Gerald Fryer, the local construction worker repairing a road with some serious divots. Or as they would say in Washington, a road. He doesn't really do much, he just hangs out here inspecting the holes and occasionally walks over to the tractor for a break. Effie grabs the crowbar off the tractor and knocks Gerald straight into the pit, somehow killing him instantly. Although you might reasonably assume that a 3-foot tumble probably wouldn't kill the guy, it's not the fall that felled our friend here, as NPCs can generally plummet quite a ways without getting hurt. What Jerry is falling into here is called a kill plane, an invisible object that causes accidental falling or melee kills on contact. There's a ton of these present throughout the Hitman trilogy, but I actually didn't know about this one when I made the contract. Careful though, NPCs aren't the only ones who can be affected by these. With Jerry no longer laying pipe and instead laying on it, Effie heads back into the yard where Bobby has just finished gabbing it up with his fellow goon. With 2 quick shots to the propane tank, they take out their 3rd target and head to the bathroom where Leo is throwing up. On other maps in Hitman 3, a propane explosion would definitely alert people as close by as this, but Whittleton has an interesting way of handling sounds between these densely packed backyards. Here, sounds are confined to each of the yards as if the fences extended upwards. These sonic walls means NPCs will only hear things from a different yard if the doors between them are open. After a quick neck snap on Leo, Iron heads back through the party and all the way to this manhole in the street. With Dale now walking right behind this tree in an area with few witnesses, Iron's free to pop him in the head and leave through the manhole for a final time of 2:58. The runs I've shown you so far are really impressive, but now we're about to witness what Gabriel Brusette does to shave almost a minute off the last time. Gabriel begins at the default spawn, but instead of running towards Dale, he fires a shot that serves two purposes. Not only does it damage this car such that one more shot will cause it to explode, it also lures Dale towards the site of the bullet's impact. While Dale is in transit, he tosses a briefcase to distract the nearby park ranger and shoots a precise distraction shot near Charles. With Dale now standing beside that car, Gabe tucks behind the shed and express delivers a shot into the hood, eliminating Dale with an explosive accident kill from half the neighborhood away. Immediately, Gabe hops into the shed, unpacking his stashed crowbar and packing the sniper so he can move about freely. When unpacking or repacking from a briefcase, it's fastest to crouch right after initiating the animation, saving you a ton of time and making these actions pretty much instantaneous. With Chuck's campaign manager handing out flyers, his personal guard on the way to the bathroom, and this officer putting away the briefcase, Chuck is all alone. This allows Gabe to kill him with an injected poison and immediately head towards his next target, Leopoldo Olameda. He's a character I knew my audience would relate to, standing at the edge of the party on his phone instead of talking to other people there. Just kidding, I know you guys don't go to parties. Although he heads to a more isolated part of the yard during his movement cycle, he's never really that alone. As Leo steps off the patio to start a cell phone call, Gabriel hits him with a seeker shot that sends him heading for the nearest bathroom. Instead of following, Gabe heads to the house next door, fast unpacks a sniper, and climbs onto the roof. He then pulls off another key innovation utilized by many of the faster runners in this competition. He simply turns and shoots Bobby in the head. As long as you don't go close enough to trigger his voice lines or disturb him with a sound, this guy won't actually turn around to find his body. By hopping through the window, Gabe gets a sneaky angle on Leo in the bathroom, allowing him to use a sniper for a covert kill and head back out the window he came in. With precise timing, Jerry is now at the perfect spot in his cycle, right behind the tractor, making it easy for Gabe to kill him with a headshot and head straight for the manhole exit. Using the crowbar he grabbed at the start of the run, Gabe pops it open and makes his escape in just 2 minutes and 6 seconds. Up next, we have yet another run from the default entrance. Cassatros helped me come up with a lot of the original Bird Percent strategies, and truly shocked me with his submission for this contest. After a fast unpack, Cass uses his sniper to fire a single distraction shot on Charles's guard before immediately hitting a fast repack and heading over. Somehow with a single shot, Cass manages to pull off an incredibly efficient rendition of the injected poison kill on Charles. Instead of heading to the party though, Cass splits off toward the muffin stand, stopping to pick up a stashed breaching charge and then continuing on over this fence. From here, he'll fire a shot to unlock this door before triple-shotting this guard. Triple shots and panic shots are complicated techniques, but they function in a similar way. The short version is that both of them will cause guards to briefly go into hysterics before heading to the area that these shots were fired from. As long as you avoid being seen in that area, you'll be basically invisible to anyone in that panic. This tech is great for avoiding detection in hostile areas, or as you can see in this case, manipulating the position of the guard in order to isolate Leo. It seems Cass realized that in order to rise above his competition, he literally had to rise above his competition. This is the pot boost. By shooting this pot, Cassatros creates particles that 47 can stand on top of. When he detonates the breaching charge, the explosion will send the particles flying upwards. There are a number of ways to implement this type of boost with varying levels of difficulty and maximum potential height. Right before this competition, IOI released the Freelancer update that caused particles to behave very differently. Most conventional boosts with things like violins and muffins had become impossible. It seemed, tragically, that this tech could be going the way of the Dartmoor ledge skip. While thankfully the original particle behavior did get added back in a later update, Cassatros had somehow managed to find one of the very few objects that still generated suitable particles during this period. Once he's up here, the game starts to give up on rendering 47, and occasionally everything else. But even with such an absurd vantage point, it's not like he can shoot through walls, and silent assassin rules still apply. After a shot to lure Dale towards this car, Cass fires 2 more to blow up this vehicle, causing people in the street who would normally walk near Leo's body to become distracted. Since Cass triple-shotted the guard who would see him, nobody will find him until long after Cass escapes. He then turns his attention to Jerry, finishing his construction work with a headshot that leaves him slumped against the tractor. Cass then hits a headshot on Bobby and the lounger before dropping down off the top section of the roof, firing a shot into this vehicle and causing it to explode, killing Dale in the process. With nobody left to kill, Cass hits a trank from deep outside the 3-point line, pacifying this construction worker so he can steal the keys for the exit. Cass was able to breach the 2-minute mark with his astonishing pot skip technique, but if the amount of time left in this video tells you anything, it's that there's a lot more left to come. Even in some of the first runs that got submitted, such as this 27-minute behemoth from ChannelJoined, I was already learning new things about the game. For instance, Channel demonstrates a fascinating guard lure that acts almost like a leash. When guards see a weapon on the ground, they'll go to pick it up and put it away, but by placing a taser onto this rat poison, Channel can now pick up the poison and move the taser without putting it back into 47's inventory, allowing him to lure Bobby, who is actually a guard in disguise, all the way over to Jerry. Just a cool strat that I've never seen used before, so maybe you can put it to use somewhere in your runs. Boo Kitten submitted this run where she beats the contract with only a pistol and no disguises, HUD, minimap, instinct, or running. If you're the type of guy who comments insane shit on my channel about how I'm not a real speedrunner instead of dealing with your divorce, maybe this is the run of your dreams. On top of giving a cash prize to the fastest time, I also gave out a few for creativity, and man was I surprised and impressed by what people turned in, such as this fully voice-acted machinima film with all the targets featured in this contract. If you want to check these out, I'll have that and all the other runs featured in this video listed in the description below. In the first run we'll see from the Muffin Man entrance, Duller's run is anything but. He starts off by running over to this treehouse to unpack a sniper before pulling off one of the craziest pieces of tech Hitman speedrunning has to offer. Turns out Cassatros wasn't the only one who figured out how to elevate their game, so to speak. This is the subdue glitch. When you subdue someone from cover, you pop out and bring them down with a variety of animations depending on where you are. By turning just an instant before you initiate the choke, you cause the animation to glitch and move 47 through doors, onto ledges, or into a nearby object. In some cases, you can rapidly be boosted upwards for as long as you keep choking the NPC. Once he's made it up top, Duller repositions so he can see the party and fire some precise shots on the patio, panicking all the NPCs near Leo but not the man himself. While he waits for everyone on the deck to dip, he runs over to this angle and fires a triple shot that will eventually draw Chuck's personal guard away from him. Duller then shoots to explode the propane and kill Leo, immediately taking a shot near Dale that causes him to investigate a nearby bush. These shots are ridiculous because Duller doesn't have a good visual reference for where he's firing as the environment struggles to load in, but he still manages to pull it off with such grace and precision. Heading back to the other side of the roof, Duller finds Dale in his crosshairs and delivers a killing shot before turning to face his final target, Charles III. Once he comes out of his temporary lockdown from those triple shots, Charles feels compelled to finish investigating the first shot that Duller fired. With a little patience, Duller can kill Charles in a place where his body somehow won't be seen and start making his way to the exit. There's no fall damage in Hitman because you aren't supposed to be able to walk off the roof like this, but Duller does, because Duller isn't constrained by your ideas of what is and isn't possible. After unlocking the manhole exit with that crowbar he packed, Duller escapes in just 1 minute and 46 seconds. This run was incredible not only because of the subdue glitch to boost his way up to the roof, but also because of the ingenious methods he concocted to rack up kills when restricted to that location. Both Cassatros and Duller pulled off crazy boosts to set these times, but what's even more shocking is that both of these runs didn't even place in the top 10. Coming in at number 10 is this run from Nezuko's Chan, also starting off at the Muffin Man entrance. Nez heads over to the treehouse and unpacks the stashed sniper to blast Jerry into the ditch, turning quickly to eliminate Bobby and fast repack the sniper. With a toss of the briefcase and a slide down this ladder, he runs back towards the party, opens the fence, and hits Leo with a seeker. Then, on his way past the bathroom, he tosses a remote explosive ducky and immediately starts making his way towards Charles III. He's going to fast unpack his sniper and use it to fire 3 distraction shots. The first is to distract the nearby park ranger, the second to distract the civilian talking to Charles' promoter, and the third to make Chuck's personal guard go behind the tent. Here, he's going to pull off a variation of the lethal injection kill we've seen before. Wasting absolutely no time, he fires a distraction shot into a tree besides Dale, causing his conversation partner to walk away briefly to investigate. A classic method for killing targets you've poisoned emetically is to drop a breaching charge in the toilet, letting you eliminate your target remotely while still keeping everything low-key. While some people did this with Leo, Nez realized he could just throw a loud explosive through the window and detonate it near the end of the run. By the time he leaves, nobody will have run in to find his body. With Leo out of the way, all Nez has to do is take out the newly isolated Dale with a headshot before turning around and leaving through the covered bridge, completing the contract in an impressive 1 minute and 20 seconds. For our 9th place run, Quatility takes us back to the default entrance. Starting off with a familiar distraction shot into this car to attract Dale, he immediately breaks the mold by just going to town on panicking people in this nearby park. He triple shots this guard and fires a distraction shot into the tree for Chuck's personal protector to inspect. With another distraction shot on this guard, he then turns to triple shot this one, waiting just a bit for him to start running before he takes out Charles with a body shot. Having panicked or distracted all the relevant guards who would spot the body, Quatility is free to continue without worrying about Chuck being found. Heading over to this briefcase to unpack the stashed emetic, he then takes a second shot on the car Dale is investigating, delivering the postman back into the road with a nifty accidental explosion. After a brief jog through the street, he tosses the emetic grenade at this guard and fast unpacks the sniper to hit a zesty snipe on Bobby right through the posts of this fence. He then pulls out a breaching charge and packs it inside this briefcase before tossing it over to Leo. When a regular NPC finds a briefcase, they'll pick it up and take it to the nearest guard so that they can stash it away with the weapons. Since Quatility made this guard sick with an emetic grenade, Leo starts heading towards a different guard, pathing towards the front and away from the rest of the guests. He then fires a distraction shot so he can trank this construction worker without getting spotted, before turning to quickscope Jerry in a flash. Finally, Quatility runs over to grab the keys to the van exit, detonating the breaching charge to kill Leo and escape the mission in just 1 minute and 12 seconds. One of the most remarkable things about this game is its commitment to realism. For instance, Whittleton Creek is located in a vast expanse, hundreds of miles from the nearest grocery store, just like the American suburbs it's trying to emulate. Pico Kohha starts off with 47 disguised as a garbage man, although this pistol snipe they hit certainly isn't trash. They make their way into the backyard and bust the back of Bobby's head with a blast through the posts of this railing. After picking up the propane, Pico starts pacing towards an ingenious setup for a kill on Leo, which only requires a single well-aimed toss that causes the propane to start leaking. After exiting the party, they hit a body shot on Chuck's personal guard, making their way toward another manhole exit we haven't seen anyone use yet. With a distraction shot on the NPC Dale's talking to, Pico uses their crowbar to pop open this manhole, taking out the 2 newly isolated targets with a couple of nasty pistol snipes. You might wonder why they used a pistol instead of a sniper, and I'd wager it's because they're trying to make sure the bodies fall straight down, instead of cartwheeling into view of a nearby NPC. Since tossing the propane caused it to spring a leak, Leo's habit will end up smoking him with an extremely clever accident kill, letting Pico exit the mission in a blazing 1 minute and 7 seconds. I just love that an NPC smoking will actually set off ignitable gases, and it turns out that the sparks from hacker keycards and generators being turned on will also serve as ignition sources. Hitman has never failed to impress me with their attention to detail, and stuff like this is the perfect example. Our 7th place run features none other than Soldier Q45, a legendary Hitman speedrunner who I mentioned in this video. In the description of his submission, Soldier talked about how this would be his last update for a while, as he was moving on from Hitman as a whole. Soldier was a pillar of the Hitman speedrunning community, serving as the head mod on the Hitman leaderboards for several years and setting many records of his own. In the early part of my speedrunning and streaming career, I learned so much from Soldier, from both his messages in my Twitch chat and through his speedruns. So I just wanted to shout him out because I think he really deserves it. After starting off as the Muffin Man, he runs towards the treehouse, stopping to hit a nasty toss of this emetic grenade to make Leo sick, throwing it from a position that lets him just escape being compromised for this illegal action. Like many others, Soldier discovered the shot on here to put Jerry into the ditch, and that you can just murk Bobby without much care. However, instead of taking the time to repack the sniper, Soldier just immediately heads down the ladder, running along the fence of this backyard. With perfect timing, Soldier ends up with a tiny window on Leopoldo, sniping his 3rd target with a headshot in under half a minute. Now, since Soldier doesn't have the briefcase for his sniper, he'll take a body shot on this nearby NPC to panic them so he won't be compromised. For my viewers that are more versed in the real world, Hitman speedrunners aren't doing body shots off of their co-eds. Rather, they use the non-lethal capacity of their weapons to panic NPCs, allowing them to get by unseen. He turns to fire a distraction shot on this guard here, one on the wall for this guard, and another on the wall for Chuck's personal protector. Soldier continues to toy with the AI, turning to fire a distraction shot on the NPC beside Dale the Postman, a shot on the shed to distract the nearby park ranger, and a shot on the ground to distract this undercover guard. With all the pieces finally falling into place, Soldier is free to kill Charles with a headshot, turn, and execute his final target with a headshot snipe at exactly the 1-minute mark. With this incredible send-off, Soldier further solidified his legacy as a Hitman legend, attaining a final time of 1 minute and 5 seconds. Coming in at 6th place is this speedy submission from Anta, a mod over at my Twitch stream and one of the longest active members of my community. That's right, ladies, there's actually more than one of you here. She starts at the default entrance, firing a distraction shot on the car with a pistol for Dale that we've seen many times before. She then initiates the process of isolating Charles, hitting the nearby park ranger with a body shot before firing a triple shot into the well near this undercover guard. There's a ton of these undercover guards around Whittleton Creek, intended to protect the original targets, as the obvious solution for a bad guy with a gun is just more good guys with guns. Well, in America, at least. When you do a body or triple shot, there is an increase in the time a guard takes before he starts running that's roughly correlated to how far away you took the shots from. Since Anta was so close, she has to be careful to quickly escape the proximity of the shot's origin to avoid being compromised. Hiding behind a limousine to unpack her sniper, Anta fires a couple shots into the car Dale is investigating to score her first kill of the run. Right away, she turns and takes out Charles with a shot to the chest, positioning herself for a ridiculous lineup where she'll fire through an entire house to panic the NPCs near Leo on the patio. Firing a distraction shot for this guard and running down the street while everyone on the deck runs for their lives, Anta finds another incredible angle, firing 2 shots into the propane heater and killing Leo in an explosive demonstration of Hitman prowess. Instead of standing around to admire her handiwork, she heads a bit further down the sidewalk, pulling off her penultimate kill on Bobby with a sneaky headshot through 2 fences and a bush. With a final distraction shot to keep this guard off her case, she turns to snipe Jerry, finishing the mission in a cool 1 minute and 2 seconds. The author of this run, Scruffy, demonstrates how inconsistent long pistol snipes are before hitting a mud shot to get into this backyard. The mud shot, named for its inventor Muddy, is just where you pause buffer in between your pistol shots, letting you fire them off with so little in-game time between them that they bust the door open like an automatic weapon would. It's also the best candidate for why you should never look up these terms on Urban Dictionary. Oh my god, oh god. After taking some shots to panic the partygoers, Scruffy banks left to eliminate Bobby with a headshot before turning his attention back to Leo, blowing up the propane heater for his third kill of the run already. Weaving through a panicked crowd, Scruffy vaults the fence into this backyard, dropping and picking up the pistol repeatedly just because it's kind of fun. He then hops out and quickly fires a distraction shot for the incognito guard, one for Charles's goon, and one for the NPC beside Dale, grabbing the nearby stashed sniper and making his way to the manhole. With a final distraction shot for the park ranger who might see Charles, Scruffy uses the sniper to eliminate the last two targets while they're still isolated, closing out his impressive performance by exiting the mission in just a minute flat. This next submission is one that's quite similar to others we've seen, but the execution is so unbelievably cracked because this run, submitted by Camel, was performed on a console. It might not seem like a big difference, but as someone who is proficient with both keyboard and controller, the former is way easier to aim with precisely. I mean, look at it. It's a tiny thumbstick versus your entire arm. While most games make up for this difference with a little aim assist on controllers, the things you're aiming at in these speedruns are rarely the targets. It's usually a specific section of a wall, a post, a car, a tree, a tank of propane. An aim assist just wouldn't work if it tried to assist you in aiming at everything. Immediately climbing into the treehouse, Camel fires panic shots around Leo with his pistol before fast unpacking the sniper. Before you know it, he's eliminated both Gerald and Bobby and is headed back down the ladder and across the lawn. Here, he'll pull out his pistol to blow up Leo for his third kill. By pulling off the same panic shot on the local partygoers that Solder used, Camel can safely run down the street, firing several pistol shots to distract the NPCs around Charles. Instead of distracting the guy beside Dale like we saw everyone else do, Camel pulls out an insane lineup, blindly sniping this NPC non-lethally in the shoulder, knocking him over so he won't see Dale's body as he kills him out in the open. Camel uses the crowbar to exit the level just before the guy he knocked over has a chance to get back up and find Dale's body. With an unbelievably smooth execution, Camel was able to secure a final time of just 59 seconds. It might seem like the times are starting to approach some sort of limit where they couldn't possibly get lower, like there's simply no more time to be saved. Well, you might want to sit down for this one, because I'm about to show you a run that's only 44 seconds long. This is how Zionicle pulled off one of the most insane tricks in Hitman to shave 15 seconds off his nearest competitor. A fundamental problem with this contract is how spread out and obstructed the targets are from one another. The starting location for Dale is almost the whole map away from Charles, who's a map away from Jerry, who is a map away from Dale. When presented with the conundrum of whether to work on killing Jerry or Dale first, Zionicle said, "Por qué no los dos?" and pulled off a trick we call the bomb launch. By precisely dropping two different bombs at specific points in 47's walking cycle, you can set up a relatively consistent mortar, allowing you to launch objects varying distances. Zionicle drops a breaching charge and a remote C4 block, but doesn't detonate the breaching charge right away, instead electing to pick up a stashed sniper nearby and make his way towards a house across the street. Along the way, he fires a panic shot into the park ranger that will draw attention away from Charles. Then, he blows the breaching charge, sending the remote C4 block flying across the map in an incredibly steep parabola, one that takes over 10 seconds to be completed. In the meantime, he unpacks his sniper and fires panic shots into the same pole you saw Anta using earlier, clearing out everyone around Leopoldo. With another shot here, Zionicle distracts Bobby the garbage man, blowing up Dale with the car before looking back at Bobby to hit him with a moving snipe, immediately firing 2 shots to blow up Leo. Taking just enough time to reload his sniper, Zionicle detonates the C4 to kill Jerry and turns to snipe his final target, Charles III, exiting right back at the bus stop to cap off an astonishing 44-second run. Now this next run, the one I'm sure you've been waiting on, is something I feel the need to prepare you for. not only because it goes by so fast, but because it has some of the cleanest routing, most meticulous execution, and absolute dominance of this game that I've ever seen. This is how Zebulus disassembled my custom contract competition. After starting off at the default entrance, Zeb fires a shot into the car near Dale and another in the wall behind Charles, hitting both these NPCs with some snazzy seeker shots. Zionicle figured out that if you aim here while Jerry is still investigating the road, you can fire a very precise distraction shot that will draw him into view. While he waits for Jerry to figure out what's the deal with that distraction shot, Zeb hits some ridiculous panic shots on the patio through several windows and across a whole room of this house. Zeb then hits an absolutely bonkers moving headshot on Jerry through this tiny little window before turning to take out Charles. Immediately, he swivels back to shoot the propane, eliminating Leo in an explosive accident. Moving a little to the left, Zeb hits a clever distraction shot on Bobby, shooting high up on the roof so that only he hears the sound and goes to stand up. In the split second that Bobby takes to do so, Zeb turns to fire a shot on the car and blow up Dale, rapidly snapping back to pre-fire a headshot into Bobby, so that he stands up into the bullet and flops onto the deck unnoticed. With all 5 targets no longer breathing, Zebulus made my contract look just too easy, completing the mission in a mind-bending 28.919 seconds. But as some of you might have noticed based on the runtime of this video or my specificity with the decimals, this is actually the second place run. That's right, baby. Coming in with the actual first place run, it's Fishman, a runner who went back and forth numerous times on the leaderboard with Zeb, but ended up pulling away with the lead by completing the run 0.12 seconds earlier. With such a similar time, I figured the run would be almost exactly the same. But as you'll see here, oh boy was I wrong. Starting off at the default entrance, Thish unpacks and immediately fires 3 shots, 1 to Dale's car, 2 to distract the bodyguard, and the 3rd to distract the park ranger. With a tranq dart to put this guard to sleep, Thish moves ahead to get a better angle, firing a similar distraction shot for Jerry at the corner of the house. He then places similar panic shots on the patio through this window. After a reload and a distraction shot on Bobby through this gap, Thish goes on a rampage, taking out Jerry, Charles, Dale, Bobby, and finally Leo in ridiculously quick fashion, opening this manhole to exit and claim the podium of my first ever contract competition. Now, full disclosure, this competition happened over a year and a half ago at this point. I had some stuff going on in my real life, and I'm really sorry that it's taken me this long to upload again. But thankfully for you guys, I'm back, baby. I'm already working on the next video as this one has been uploaded. And because I forgot to download my live reaction of this contract competition, I'm doing another one, baby. Woo! That's right. Check out the links in the description below if you want to see when I drop the details in a few days. Join the Discord. Please check me out on Twitch. And thank you so much for watching.